So Pfizer announced that the vaccine it's producing has an effectiveness rating of 90%. Now the FDA only wanted an efficiency rating of 50%, and Pfizer just went out and threw this is effective up to 90% on the current studies. Now that made the SPY, the Dow, and a lot of stocks pump up to all-time highs, along with all the stocks that were struggling, your cinemas, your airlines, your cruises. A lot of hype came into them, and they also seen a massive gain. So has Pfizer saved the world? But more importantly, I ask, is Pfizer a good stock to invest in right now? And the only way to do that is to gently unzip Pfizer's trousers and give it an STI. Okay, so before we get into is Pfizer a good investment, first thing we want to do is make sure you've helped me out by hitting that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, turn on the bell, and if you want to join our chat room or help support the channel, there's a Patreon link in the description where you can join our chat room or my exclusive WhatsApp group and find out what I am buying, selling as it happens. Literally in the last 2 weeks, I have posted everything I am planning on doing before it happens, and then, well, every stock in my portfolio as of now is green. Not to blow my own trumpet though. Now Pfizer, what they did is they grabbed 43,000 volunteers, which is not a small number by any means. Some brave people who said, you know what, expose me to this pandemic virus, this COVID situation, and hopefully we can be part of the cure. And what happened is they first injected them with this vaccine. And then 3 weeks, 21 days later, they split them into two, and they injected half of them with the vaccine again, and half of them with a sort of placebo vaccine or a controlled substance, let's say. And what we've seen is the people who got vaccinated twice, 21 days apart, actually then have a 90+%, actually above 90% chance of showing no symptoms from COVID-19, which is great. What a bonus. Now, I do want to stress that the FDA did say anything above 50%. Pfizer's 90%. The study is still ongoing, so that figure may go up, it may go down. We quite simply don't know. But nonetheless, this news is absolutely great, and I think everybody is itching to get on holiday, go to the cinema, and go to restaurants without having to wear a face mask. Now, we need to hold our horses because they obviously are not at that stage in the process where the FDA still need to approve it. The studies themselves, they still need to be fully checked, and then they need to get approval, print the drug, or print it. It's not 3D printed, but you know what I'm saying, and then roll it out. They're expecting, if everything goes smoothly, to have 50 million doses, which is definitely not a lot, by the way, out by the end of this year, if everything is plain sailing. And that said, next year, they think they can get another 1.3 billion out, which is still not enough to cover the whole world. So you need to bear that in mind. And would you need to redose? Does it wear off after a time? These studies are still ongoing, but nonetheless, it is definitely a massive, massive step in the right direction. And I think we are all praying that Pfizer has the answer. I think maybe every company on planet Earth should have to pay a subscription to whichever company comes up with the cure for this drug. But that said, I seen Pfizer and a lot of other stocks gapping up massive amounts, and it got me thinking, Pfizer is not a biotech company. It is a legitimate, one of the biggest companies in the world actually. It's a legitimate company with a solid dividend history. Is it a good investment? Well, as usual, I opened up their filings and I had a little nose around. Now currently Pfizer's market cap is 217 billion. And if you go on Simply Wall Street on their algorithm, they are currently 44% undervalued if we go on every other thing in their sector. Now, Simply Wall Street isn't a fan of their PE and their PEG, but I have to clarify, in this whole crazy situation where we've got Robinhood as a pandemic and the industry that they're in, their PE and PEGs are a little bit delusional. So their PE is 25 and their PEG is currently 1.2. Now take that with a pinch of salt. PEs and PEGs in this market are not as relevant as they usually are. Coming down to their assets and liabilities, their short-term assets is 46 billion, and in the liabilities, they only have 32 billion. So their assets and liabilities short-term are way covered there. And if we move on to their long-term assets and liabilities, their long-term assets are 131 billion, and their liabilities are 80 billion. So Pfizer is way, way covered there. In fact, their debt to equity ratio is actually less than 100%. It's 98% too. So very, very solid financial company, in financial terms, should I say. Very, very healthy, and more importantly, solid in historical terms too. Now their dividend, they do offer a dividend of 3% or 3.8 currently at this current price. So that is even then a solid reason to buy into Pfizer. if you're a dividend investor, I really do think you should be looking at Pfizer as well. Taking out all of the positive news that's just come out, I think it is a good dividend paying stock. Now, the real negative I found here was that there has been some insider selling going back a couple of months from some of the VPs and directors too. But this is going back 9-6 months ago when we were right in the middle of this and there was no real positive news. So I don't think the selling was too much. That could have been for personal reasons, but that said, there's been no selling or buying in the last 3 months either. So I think everybody's sort of focused on getting this vaccine out there. Now, looking at the chart, pre-COVID, they were 46 or around thereabouts. And then when COVID struck, they fell down to lows of $28, which is a massive drop for a company of this size you have to take into account. From there, they sort of climbed their way back up, and then they, dotted around the 30s for a while. And then on this news, they spiked up to 42. Now, it's worth noting that from 42 on the day of this news, they then actually fell, as a lot of the market did. The market pumped up and then sort of sold off a little bit towards the end of the day. People taking profits, people wanting to get out while they can, and it come down around 39. But is it a good buy here? That's the big question I hear you asking. And if you want to know that, please do make sure you hit that like button, because I am about to tell you if I am buying it this week. And that said as well, if you are looking for a broker and you're not from the US or Canada, check out the pinned comment. There is an eToro link there. You can sign up, and if you sign up, deposit $200 and make an investment, you then get free access for lifetime to my investment chat room, where you can check my portfolio out weekly and ask me questions directly. I am active in there every single day. Now, is Pfizer a good buy? Seriously, I am really looking at adding Pfizer into my portfolio. But being a value investor, I can't buy it at a spike. It is just suicidal buying any company, no matter who they are, at a spike. And a good example of that is what it did yesterday. This stock pushed up and then sold off $3 on a $40 stock. That's a decent percentage loss if you bought the highs. Now, I'm not saying it's bad long term, but what I'm saying is we are investors at the end of the day, and investing in things at a good price is the key core of what we do. Regardless of whether it's a growth stock or what we do, we should always be looking to get the best value investment, keyword, that we can get. And that's where, I got a lot of hit on the NIO video, the NEO video, and quite simply, you can say what you want. If you're buying a company at highs, you're not really, playing the game that much. You're missing out on a lot of potential elsewhere, in my opinion. If you're a dividend investor, I think Pfizer's a great potential for you, but I wouldn't go all in right now. I'd be definitely scaling in 5-10% of my total allocation to that stock at a time. For me, Pfizer really is interesting if we get a pullback to 35, 36. And in fact, I'd actually probably throw in some decent size right there as well. So that's what I'm sort of hoping happens. If it comes back, then I'll start looking to add it to my portfolio. I just sold my Microsoft position. I made a couple of grand on that, not too much to be honest, but hey ho. I'm actually around about 65-70% in cash now because of that position. So yeah, things are going swimmingly in the portfolio, as it were. What I'd love to know is your thoughts on Pfizer. Have you bought some? Do you think this vaccine is a cure? Do you think it's actually just a bit of hype and they're going to come into some difficulty? Please do share your thoughts in the comments, because I'm sure it will help out someone. Also as well, do me the kindest favor by helping me out with that like button. If you haven't subscribed, turn on the bell, please do that as well. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.